All right, everybody, grab a cup of tea. We're gonna dive into the bazaar. And we're actually gonna do some digital art using Photoshop. Simple, basic project, 72 DPI. Start with a nice neutral background. And what neutral means is it's really any color that's mixed with gray. And usually with traditional pigments, you do that by mixing complementary colors. Or you can mix black or white with a color and that helps neutralize it too. But you get some real rich colors if you use the complementary color. So what we're doing here is laying down a little bit of a background with some random variation. I'm using some brushes that have some randomness in terms of each time you click, it moves. So you get something that's a little more natural. Building it up. And now we're going to start using Smart Sharpen, and it's going to distort and really destroy what we had going. But the end goal that we're trying to build are some fragmented shapes, things that are kind of coral looking, underwater ocean, that sort of feel. Smart Sharpen does a good job of doing this when we use it in a way that it's not intended. So we keep doing this repeatedly. And eventually we end up with something like this. It looks like water ripples. Really unique. Got a lot of spontaneity. We're going to keep developing this. Keep building out the color. Total time that it took me to make this illustration was about 3 hours. So not bad, but a good study. Something I want to share with you so you can see how I do it. So we're going to go in here and keep playing around with Smart Sharpen. And you can see that I've actually got a layer set up that takes all of those blues and yellows out. And I'm using a color slider here. This comes from one of the adjustment layers to kind of play around with the different colors that are in there. It's kind of a fun, interesting tool to play around with. Ultimately decided on a really nice kind of bluish, turquoise-ish kind of illustration. Gradient sliders. This is what I'm using to get everything onto the same color map. Very, very helpful tool for creating something that's a little more unified. Look at these blues and lights and darks you can get by playing around with the slider in here. Got kind of a nice subdued look going on here. Bringing out a little more of those lights. Getting really close to what I want. And I don't have an end goal in mind with stuff like this. I'm just going for it. And I did end up using a layer mask to bring out lighter lights in some areas and subdue other areas. And I'm going to add some more shapes over the top. Same technique, using Smart Sharpen to develop everything out here. Gradient sliders to get everything on the same color scheme that I want. Finding a nice variation of blues, some really saturated ones and some more neutral ones. And I mentioned earlier that to get neutrals you mix complementary colors, but in the digital world you're really just relying on the gray side of your color map inside Photoshop. And the whole point of having a neutral background is to give a sense of space. So here you can see I'm using a effect layer over an adjustment layer, and it's providing some really unique colors. I went ahead and added some elements between the foreground and the background. Going to go through the same process of using Smart Sharpen, gradient maps, till we get something that we like. I love making things without reference material. You have to spend a lot of time with reference material before you'll feel comfortable to take everything that you learned and apply it into the world of abstract and bizarre, surreal fantasy. Adding in some variation in the background. There you go. Got some nice contrasting colors. And speeding forward quite a bit, here's a little abstract fish. Putting on a highlight, using the pen tool to make a selection layer. By doing this, you get really crisp edges. I actually have it set to like a 0.3 diffusion, so it's not pixel perfect crisp. I don't want it to look too unnatural, but it's very close. Adding some smaller scales towards the edge of the object. From my previous video on clouds and trees, as objects get close to an edge, features, shapes, they all get smaller. And this is the final product. Thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to having you around sometime soon. Bye-bye.